What's good, y'all? I'm here to cover the buffs and changes for the third and final of your starter choices in this hack. Before I get into that, though, if you're a new viewer and you just happen to be clicking on this video, please check out the description below. There is a link to the Google Sheet that I use in all these videos. This is not your average run-of-the-mill ROM hack. Every single Pokemon is massively reworked. I've buffed and changed 600 plus moves. There are 130 plus custom brand new moves, and all types of really other important stuff, custom new abilities, and just all types of crazy interactions. So definitely give those a look, because if you look at these buffs and changes in a vacuum, it might seem pretty crazy. Maybe not in this case, but in a lot of other cases. Yeah, just please give those a look if you have yet to do so, or if you're just, a regular viewer who wouldn't mind brushing up on that kind of stuff. But with that being said, Primarina has some really sick buffs and changes. As always, it has a great Water Fairy dual typing. There are actually a lot of other Water Fairy types that I had to balance around Primarina, because one thing I try to do in this hack is keep Pokemon from overlapping with one another or doing the same thing that another Pokemon does, especially if they share a type combination. So that's like my biggest issue with Primarina. That's why the secondary ability might seem mid for late game in competitive. Competitive is great in competitive, but that's not what this hack is balanced around. However, competitive is incredible early game, because all types of Pokemon have stat dropping moves early game all over the place, and they're all great. Even late game stat dropping moves are great, but the AI won't use them as much, because the AI with stat dropping moves can't abuse them as well, because you, the player, can switch out. The AI does not, unless they have a switch move. Therefore, if you drop the opponent's stats, it's basically permanent, which is why moves like Charm, Befriend, Baby Doll Eyes, Plain Ice, Disarming Voice, which drops attack and special attack, Harmonize, which does the same thing and is actually Pixelate boosted, which I'll get into Pixelate in a second. Point being, competitive is beautiful early game. You can switch in Popplio and Popplio Embryon on a million different moves early game. There's literally so many of them. There's actually an entire dedicated category to these stat dropping moves on the Google Sheet, so please give those a look, because there's a lot of them. Water Pulse, for example, you also get that. That also does the same thing that Disarming Voice and Harmonize does. So yeah. Competitive, beautiful ability, get a free +2 boost from switching in. You have priority in the form of Bubble Shot and Pixie Dust, as well as Swift. Swift is Pixelate boosted to become 55 times 1.2, no, 66, yeah, 66 base power +2 priority, which is 21 base power, stronger than Pixie Dust, of course, so you do have to run Pixelate for that to be worth it. Pixelate, beautiful ability, very fitting. I did have to remove Liquid Voice, reason being, the ability Sinister actually used the sound move tag to function off of Soundproof. I applied that to Fairy type moves. That's how I made, a little back. Normally I would gatekeep how I make these little creative ability changes, but that's one I'll admit, only because, number one, I think it's kind of obvious, and number two, that's why Pixelate bypasses Sinister, which is another big buff for Primarina. Sinister is an ability that a good amount of Ghost and Dark types get, so Primarina with Pixelate bypasses those and can hit them with the Fairy type move regardless. Yes, you do have Pixelate Boom Burst. Oh my god, it's so strong. Wow, everybody's pogging in the comments section about it. Yes, it's strong. It's nothing that crazy. You're slow. Boom Burst is only 125 base power, which is, I'm saying only in a loose term, because of course that's still very strong to have no drawbacks. But for example, something like Hyper Beam is 160 base power, and that drops your special attack step by 2, like Draco Meteor does. So the moves Hyper Beam, Flare Cannon, and Hydro Cannon all function that way, and Primarina gets those. So those are all really fun, especially Hyper Beam with Pixelate. Absolute nuke, 192 base power move with Pixelate. Very, very fun to use. But yeah, Boom Burst, 150 base power, Fairy type stab, no drawbacks. But my point was about Liquid Voice is that it wouldn't be bad, right? Because you get stab on Boom Burst and Serenade, all those other cool moves. So it would be cool to switch between Pixelate and Liquid Voice depending on the situation. Sadly, I cannot fix the way that what Liquid Voice would do now. Liquid Voice would turn water moves into Fairy type moves, I believe, and that's not. Oh, sorry, it would turn Fairy type moves into Water type moves. That's what I meant. Yeah, Fairy type moves into Water type moves, which is like, you really want that? No, you don't. It's not worth an ability slot at all, especially in a round hack like this, where I try to balance every Pokemon to have 2 great abilities. Popplio Embryon, great for the early game, great for up until they evolve. They have all types of great utility moves, like I said earlier, all those stat dropping moves, as well as stuff like Encore, and it's beautiful. It's bulky, it's strong, it's a good mon. Torrent is also useful with that infinite usability capsule that Popplio will come holding. It will have. You'll be able to use that to switch between Torrent and competitive. Torrent is nice with the Endure TM, especially for earlier in the game when there's a lot of less anti-setup stuff. You can cheese like Papaya Berry, Endure, plus Bubble Shot / Bubble Barrage. You can also use Draining Kiss to heal up, or Wish to heal up for Melee Island, which is nice because most Pokemon do not get reliable recovery moves for Melee Island. However, I did give Popplio I did give Rion and Torracat healing moves before Hala at level 20, just because I think it's, it would make them a lot better. Of course, Dartrix doesn't need it for Hala, not to mention they do have Technician, Mega Drain, and stuff. But yeah, really cool stuff. Great utility mon, good for all the totems besides Laurentis, but even Laurentis, you could still use it with like a super effective weakening berry, a Rindo berry plus soak, and then you remove the stab on Laurentis, and that makes it a lot less threatening, and then you can switch out, or you can just flat out Aurora Beam it, drop its attack and special attack, and get some super effective damage off either one. You can also haze it, although actually no, you can't, because if you're playing with double limits at least, which is what I heavily imply that you should do. Yeah, haze wouldn't be legal, but still a good move for to have in general. Priority haze. Other Pixelate moves, you have Commotion, which becomes 102 base power for Pixelate, and that also always confuses. Not that that's really that good of an effect, it's just kind of cool. It's not very reliable, especially in Gen 7 when it's only a 1 in 3 chance. But you do have Hyper Voice, which is 114 base power, and that is significantly earlier than Boom Burst, so that's your main Pixelate stab until you get Boom Burst. Serenade is 70 base power, so at Pixelate that's 84, but that makes the opponent drowsy, which is really good. You also have Sing, which is just a flat, reliable, 80% accurate sleeping move that always lasts for 2 turns. So you can get off setup moves like Agility and Calm Mind. You could even use both if you wanted to, but you have to keep in mind that setup moves have nerf PP, and the viability of them in general is highly trivialized in this hack because of all the anti-setup stuff that I'm putting into place with, priority, crit, bypassing, protect first impression, and all types of other priority moves that every Pokemon gets, and crit moves that bypass defensive drops and all types of stuff. Although special setups, Calm Mind is a little bit better than Bulk Up because most of the crit moves are physical. So yeah, Calm Mind, you could totally cheese maybe a couple of boss fights, but I don't think you'd be able to 6-0 many boss fights unless you're very smart with the moves that you taught via level up throughout the game, which is like hard to do because you have to juggle your level up moves for the totems and all the other stuff. So you're probably not going to get that many sweeps going, but it's still fun to use nonetheless. And competitive late game is not terrible. Intimidate is still a really common ability in this hack, and there's still a lot of moves that will drop up the opponent's stats, that the AI will use. They're just not as common once you evolve. Like, the AI won't be using them as much anymore. Not that you shouldn't, because they're great. I would definitely, even Parting Shot, for example, will be common on the AI. Switch in your Primarina Parting Shot, now you get +2 or net +1 special attack. That's a really good option. Very, very good. That's why you had that infinite usability capsule, so you'll be running Pixelate for most fights. And then when you don't need that Pixelate boosted move, because keep in mind, Hyper Voice is reteachable, so you can just tack on, Dazzling Gleam or something else for Fairy type stab for that fight, if you even need Fairy type stab for that fight, and then you can get a special attack boost to competitive. So it's a good ability still. It's not terrible. It's just a lot more situational once you evolve, which is a bit of a shame. But all the other Water Fairy type abilities were taken up. Like, there were so many that I couldn't give to Primarina, like Serene Grace is something I wanted. Swift Swim would have been cool. That stuff, I couldn't do it because other ones have it and it fits them better, and they need it more. The Primarina does. So 2 good abilities, competitive, Pixelate. I think they fit very well. Pixelate fits the whole sound move, singer vibe, and then competitive fits the whole pop star type thing that they have going on. So I think it's pretty cool. Otherwise, you got other powerful stabs like Whirlpool Pump, all that's late game. Perish Song, great for Ultra Necrozma, great bulk in general. I gave them a little bit more HP because they are pretty big, like long sea lion type thing. They're 6 foot long, so I was like, you know what, I can give them a good HP stat. 85 base is really good, above average for sure. And you have 84 base defense, which is also really good with investment. And then you have great special defense, great special attack, usable speed stat with Choice Scarf for certain fights. You can run max speed, Choice Scarf. You do have access to that infinite EV training items, those infinite EV training items to just, for certain fights, which in that Primarina get that Choice Scarf, Hyper Voice to kill something really quick. You also have regular priority moves though, like Choice Specs, Bubble Shot, and Swift, and Pixie Dust. So I don't think you need it, but it's still good. Even just Quick Claw is good on slower Pokemon because that is a consumable item now, so you can pivot in your Primarina and then press that Quick Claw boosted move, or Quick Claw priority move, kill the opponent, switch out. You got all types of room for strategy in this hack. That's the main point of it. That's why all these Pokemon have so many fun tools to work with. But other than that, I think I'm gonna leave it off there. I could talk about a few more things like coverage. It's got great ones: Shadow Ball, Psychic, Aura Sphere, Ice Beam, Energy Ball, and then other moves as well. So yeah, super fun mon, very solid. Probably the most simple of the 3 buffs for the starters. I would say Decidueye was the most reworked. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think, and I appreciate you for listening this far, and that wraps up the starters. Peace, everyone.